I've just returned from a 7-day Alaskan cruise on the Discovery Princess. Thanks to the Princess Upgrade program and a little bit of luck, I was able to score a penthouse suite upgrade on this cruise and save nearly $2,000 compared to the normal published rate for this particular cabin. In this conclusion to my 3-part mini-series about the Princess Upgrade program, I'm going to talk about my suite life experience on this cruise. Was it really worth the extra $2,000 to upgrade? Well, let's talk about it. Hi everyone, my name is Tim and my channel is called Tim at Sea. I'm a big fan of cruising, usually solo, sometimes with friends and family, and my goal with this channel is to just give you some tips, tricks, and other advice that might help you make the most of your cruise vacations. About a month ago, I posted a video showing you how to use the Princess Upgrade program to place bids on cabin upgrades on your upcoming cruises and how you can potentially save some pretty big money over regular published rates. At the end of that video, I actually placed a few bids for some upgrades on this Discovery Princess cruise that I've just completed. A few weeks later, I got an email saying that my bid was successful and I was upgraded to a penthouse suite on this cruise. Shortly after that, I posted another video celebrating my success, talked about some of the perks that I was expecting on the cruise, and just exactly how much I saved by bidding versus paying regular rates. Now we're a couple weeks removed from the conclusion of that cruise. Unfortunately, I came down with COVID after the cruise, so I was laid up for a while, so I apologize for the delay. But today I'm here to tell you all about my experience, all the perks I received, and whether or not I thought it was worth it to do this upgrade. So let's jump right in. First, we'll talk about the check-in experience at the cruise terminal in Seattle. So normally, you are given about a half an hour window that you're supposed to arrive. You usually get to select this a few days before the cruise. In this case, it just said I was in the blue line and I should show up sometime between 11 and 1:30 p.m. So being eager to get on board like most people would be, I showed up at the terminal at about 11 and looked around. I didn't really see any kind of check-in area for suite guests. So I proceeded to the line to pick up my medallion. The medallion is the key to your cabin and also the key to a lot of experiences on Princess. And as a quick tip, I would guide you to have the medallion shipped to you instead of picking it up at the terminal like I did. The line to pick up the medallion was extremely long. I waited probably about a half an hour to get my medallion. Not a big deal, but it definitely would have been a smoother experience had I already had it. From there was no waiting to get on the ship at all. I didn't see any sort of suite waiting area or anything like that, but they were just letting people walk on, so I basically just grabbed my medallion and walked right on the ship after that. Obviously, there are quite a few perks involved to booking a suite on Princess, just like there are on any other cruise line. But the primary benefit is probably the cabin itself. You're going to get a larger, more luxurious cabin with better furniture, a larger balcony potentially. It just depends on the room type that you get. In my case, I had a penthouse suite, which was probably about 2 to 3 times the size of a standard balcony stateroom. It was really spacious and nice. It had a separate living room area and a bedroom cordoned off by a curtain. It had a balcony that was probably 2 to 3 times the length of a typical balcony. It wasn't any deeper, but it was a lot wider. It had nice lounge chairs outside. The bathroom was really beautiful with a large shower and a very large bathtub that even a guy like me could fit into. I'm 6'2" and typically don't fit in most bathtubs, but I think I could have fit in this one had I wanted to take a bath. It's also nice that the bathroom is separate from the toilet area, so someone can get ready, take a shower in one room, and if someone needs to use the restroom, they can do so in privacy. There was also quite a bit more storage in this room. I think there were 2 or 3 closet areas to hang clothes or put away other items. So if you have a larger group, then it's definitely nice to have all this extra space and storage. Suite guests also get a complimentary minibar set up at the beginning of the cruise. So when I walked into my cabin, I noticed a few alcoholic beverages up on the counters. I also had a really nice fruit basket sitting there waiting for me, some hors d'oeuvres, which I believe were like some pot stickers and things like that. Very tasty. And my mini fridge was actually stocked with some bottled water, beer, and some soda, so it was really nice to have all that available to me at the start of the cruise. You actually get bottled water on a consistent basis throughout the cruise as a suite guest, complimentary, so that's a nice benefit. Another perk you have as a suite guest is the ability to use the concierge lounge as well as the concierge itself. And in my case, I was extremely lucky. The concierge lounge was literally about 15 feet from the door to my cabin. Inside, there were some nice seating areas to sit around and mingle with the other suite guests. And the concierge was there. He was great. I was able to go to him for anything I needed related to guest services inquiries, excursions, dining reservations, whatever I needed, he could help with. They also had some upgraded snack options, I guess, in there. They had sodas and beer in the fridge, and they had a really fancy coffee machine so you could make yourself some frou-frou coffee if that's your thing. So just a nice place to sit and hang out. It was a little cramped, but otherwise it was a nice place and just dedicated to suite guests. In terms of dining options for suite guests, Princess has what's called the Reserve Collection, which is basically just a separate entrance to one of the main dining rooms designed for suite guests so they don't have to wait in the main line to get into the restaurant. One thing I thought was kind of funny is that if a regular guest would walk up to try to get in through the suite entrance, they were just told that it was the exit and they should go to the other side. But right behind them might have been a suite guest and they would get escorted right in, so there was a few quizzical looks on some people's faces. But all in all, it worked out fine. I didn't have to wait at all to get into any of the restaurants, and it was really smooth, and I was seated right away. You also get some really top shelf wait staff in this area, and you have some extra options on the regular dining room menus. Typically, they would have an extra pasta dish or some other side that they would offer just for the suite guests, but otherwise it was just the regular main dining room menu, and it was cooked by the same people. Suite guests were also able to get complimentary specialty dining on the first night of the cruise, so I took advantage of this to go to Sabatini's and had a delicious Italian meal, so that was a nice little perk. Also, throughout the cruise, every day at breakfast, you could go to Sabatini's and have a premium dining experience for breakfast every day. I'm not a big breakfast eater myself. I typically work in the morning and then I just wait until lunchtime to eat. So I didn't experience this, but apparently they have a more upscale menu for the suite guests for breakfast. So you'll definitely want to take advantage of that. Apparently there's also an upgraded room service menu for suite guests. I didn't happen to see this really in my experience. For ordering room service, you use the Princess app and the Medallion class functionality. So you order everything through the app. And me being in a suite, I didn't really see anything different on the room service menu compared to what I've seen on past cruises. It looked the same. Maybe if you call in or something, you might be able to get the expanded menu, but I didn't really see it. They did have the little door hanging signs that you could use to order breakfast. Apparently, if you order room service as a suite guest, you're supposed to get it a priority service. I did order breakfast through this one time, and it definitely didn't seem like priority service. It showed up when it was supposed to show up, but the food was cold. And I feel like, they'd probably done a lot of deliveries before they made it to mine. And nothing to complain about, of course, but it didn't really feel priority to me. And last, but certainly not least in terms of dining, Princess offers an experience called 360, an extraordinary experience. This is a special dining event that they only offer on the Discovery and Enchanted Princess. It's only for suite guests, and this was a really magical experience. You start by standing in a little holding area, and they bring you some specialty cocktails, or mocktails in my case because I'm not a drinker. You are able to stand and mingle with some of the other suite guests as you wait to be whisked away into a private area to see this experience. I really feel like this is an exclusive experience, and I don't really want to spoil much for you, but basically you go into a room and you're surrounded by 360 video screens. They have projectors on the ceiling that project down onto the table, and they're interactive so you can touch and interact with some of the things going on the table. and you're basically served food from a lot of different countries. It's probably like a 10-course meal, and you get little samples of food from all of these different places, and it's got a story involved, and it's just a really neat experience. I would definitely recommend it if you get to go on one of these ships. Rounding out the perks you get for staying in a suite, you've got complimentary laundry and dry cleaning services. I definitely took advantage of this. It was really nice to have because my suit always gets wrinkled when I travel, and it's in a suitcase and it gets wrinkled. So I had it dry cleaned, and I did some laundry at the end of the cruise, so I had less to do when I got home. So that was definitely nice. You're supposed to get priority embarkation, which I already talked about, and disembarkation, as well as at the tender ports. This particular cruise didn't have any tender ports, so I didn't see any of that. As far as disembarkation is concerned, I had a luggage tag with a transfer, and I decided to stay in that area instead of going to the dedicated area they had for suite guests. I did walk by that area, and I didn't see anyone getting escorted off the ship or anything like that. I think it was just a separate waiting area for suite guests. I could be wrong, but I decided that since I needed to listen for my specific information to be called, my luggage tag color to be called, I decided to just wait in that lounge instead. So now we'll get to the meat and potatoes of this particular video, and that's whether or not I thought this experience was worth the money. Before I get into that, I just wanted to take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to this channel if it's been helpful to you. Hit that like button. It means the world to me, and it really helps out the channel. So if you don't mind taking a second to do that at this point, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. As I mentioned in the other video, I paid approximately $2,200 as a double occupancy upcharge with the bid in order to get this penthouse suite. It would have been over $4,000 extra dollars from my mini suite booking to go to this penthouse suite had I paid regular price. So I did save about 50% by bidding on this upgrade. This is the first time I've ever sailed in a suite on Princess, so I don't have a lot to compare it to. The only other times I've sailed in a suite on other cruise lines is on Norwegian. They have the Haven experience, and it's quite a bit different, I will say. But that's really all I have to compare it to. So I'm just letting you know that so you have a little background on my history. The cabin itself, I have no complaints about. It was very large, spacious, very nice. Nice furniture, very comfortable bed, a lot of space. The balcony was really large and nice. I wish it was a little bit deeper so you could stretch out a little bit more, but it was very long, and the furniture out there was very comfortable. I wouldn't have had any problem on a warmer sailing to have a meal out there or enjoy breakfast or whatever, but it's pretty cold in Alaska, especially towards the end of the season, so I didn't spend a ton of time out on the balcony. Having access to the concierge lounge was really nice. I could literally walk a few feet from my door and go grab a drink or some coffee or a little snack anytime I wanted. The concierge was always in there, and he was really helpful and very nice. He could help you with anything, so that was definitely nice to have. Having the reserved dining was really nice. I know that the lines at the main dining rooms can get really long, especially at the prime dinner times. So being able to just walk right in and be seated right away was definitely a nice perk. The 360 dining experience was amazing. It was definitely a highlight of the trip. And if you're on the Discovery Princess or the Enchanted Princess on your next cruise and staying in a suite, you'll definitely want to check it out. The only negative thing I would really say, and it's not even really a negative, it's more just a perception I have based on experience in other suites on other cruise lines, particularly the Haven, is that I just didn't feel like there was a lot of priority access to things on Princess. Like I mentioned, I didn't see anything in terms of priority embarkation or disembarkation. They don't have things like priority access to show tickets or anything like that. But Princess doesn't have those large production shows like they have on Norwegian where you'd want priority seating. It was pretty easy to go into any of the shows and find a seat, so it wasn't really a concern there. But on Norwegian, when you're in the Haven, you basically have a separate area where you check in to the ship. You have a separate lounge. You are escorted on and off the ship in private elevators. You typically have private elevators to your cabin, and you have a massive lounge where you can sit down, and they have upscale food options and all those sorts of things. And a lot of areas on the ship are only available to the Haven. Obviously, it depends on which ship you're on, but most ships have Haven lounges, Haven sun decks, areas that only the suite guests can access, and I just didn't see a lot of that on Princess. They do have the Concierge lounge, but it was really kind of small and cramped, and it got busy in the evenings. There was a lot of people there, and they were all kind of crammed together in a pretty small room. And this was really the only space that was dedicated for the suite guests on Princess, so I just didn't feel like there was a lot of specific spaces that only suite guests could go to on Princess. For me as a solo cruiser, would I say it was worth it? I don't really think so. Honestly, I paid about $2,200 for this upgrade, and I don't really feel like there was $2,200 worth of value there versus just booking a standard cabin. But again, I was cruising solo. I didn't have a lot of special needs. I don't drink alcohol, so I didn't take advantage of the minibar items. I didn't need all of the extra space that came with the cabin. It was certainly nice to have, and I wouldn't turn it down, but I didn't need all the extra storage. I didn't need all the extra space, the sitting room, the fancy bathroom. I just didn't really need that stuff. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. It was awesome to try it out, and I would definitely consider doing it in the future if I could score a really good deal. But at the price I paid, I don't think I would do it again. But the main thing you're getting with one of these upgrades is the better cabin, I guess. And if you've got a larger group, even if you have 2 or 3 or 4 guests, then the extra space, the extra storage, the bathroom options, the reserved dining, all that other stuff is really going to be beneficial to you. So I wouldn't hesitate to suggest it, especially in those scenarios. But for me personally, I just didn't think it was worth the extra money on Princess specifically, and I probably won't do it again. On other cruise lines, particularly the Haven, I do think it was worth it because they just have a lot more priority access to things that I guess I was sort of expecting maybe on Princess that I just didn't have. So I'll wrap it up by saying that the Princess upgrade program is a great way to potentially save some big money on upgrades, not just to suites, but maybe going from an inside cabin to a balcony or an ocean view cabin. Check out the upgrade program and see if you can put in a bid and save yourself some money there. It's a great way to do that, and I would suggest checking it out. If you're looking for a suite, you can definitely save some money. Obviously, it depends on the time of year, how popular your cruise is, and a lot of other factors, but it's worth a try if you want to give it a shot. All in all, I had a fantastic time on this cruise. I have absolutely nothing to complain about. All of the staff I encountered was great. My cabin steward was great. The concierge was phenomenal. My room was really nice and spacious, and I had a really fun time in Alaska. The only thing that I lament about it was the weather could have been a little better, and it wasn't so much fun getting COVID at the end, but obviously that has nothing to do with the cruise line itself or the experience. I would never hesitate to suggest sailing on Princess. I love Princess, and I think you will too. So from here, I'll turn it over to you. Hopefully you can leave some comments down below about your experience, maybe in a suite on Princess. Have you done any bidding to get some stateroom upgrades? We'd all love to hear about it. For those of you who've made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video today. I really appreciate it. I plan to do another video in the near future kind of comparing this suite experience with the Norwegian suite experience. So stay tuned for that if that's of interest to you. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that like button if you don't mind. It really helps the channel out, really helps me grow and be able to post new content like this on a regular basis. So I appreciate that. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.